Welcome to the show. I'm Kathy Ireland. According to the National Cancer Institute, more than 1.7 million people are diagnosed with cancer every year in the United States, and approximately 38% of people will be diagnosed with cancer during their lifetimes. While there are many options for cancer treatment already on the market, these one-size-fits-all approaches often come with widespread side effects, and for some patients, those treatments simply aren't effective. Today, we're joined by Jennifer MacDiarmid, CEO of EnGeneIC, to discuss how her company's targeted cyto-immunotherapeutic nanocell is offering hope to those with drug-resistant cancers. Welcome, Jennifer.
Hi, Kathy. Thanks very much for having me on.
Now, Jennifer, can you tell us a bit about EnGeneIC?
EnGeneIC is a clinical stage biotech company, and the company is built around our proprietary platform technology, which is a nanocell, a targeted nanocell derived from bacteria, and we call it the EDV, which is EnGeneIC Dream Vector, because it's really a dream. It can be targeted and loaded with different payloads and can kill cancer cells while at the same time boosting the immune system. So the main operation is here in Sydney, Australia, and we have R&D, clinical trials and the pilot scale manufacturing unit here. But we also set up a few years ago in New York. So we're truly a bipartisan group. We've got US and Australian groups, and in New York we have some clinical work and the financial work and business development.
Oh, great. Well, Jennifer, could you please walk us through how this focused delivery works?
So the EDV is a non-living nanocell, so it can't cause disease or reproduce, but it can be loaded with any sort of payload, chemotherapeutics in particular, and targeted directly to receptors on the cancer cell. When it's injected into the bloodstream, it runs around the circulation until it finds holes in the blood vessels, which always occur around a tumour, and it pops out in through the holes in the vessels into the tumour microenvironment. So that's what we call passive targeting. Once it's in the microenvironment of the tumour, of course it has a specific targeting antibody on its surface, and it locks on to the appropriate receptor or the matching receptor on the cancer cell. Once the locking happens, it is dragged into the cancer cell because the cancer cell's provoked to suck the thing in like a Trojan horse, and then the contents is spilled into the cancer cell. So it actually sort of like cancer cell committing suicide. The good news is that the particle, the nanocell, is too big to get out of blood vessels in the liver or the gut or the skin, so you don't get those toxic side effects you see with most other therapies.
Wow, this is incredible. Jennifer, what are the key benefits of this ultra-targeted approach?
The main benefits for the patient is when a patient reaches the end of the line in their treatment, the tumour becomes drug resistant and there's nothing else that can be offered. So what we have found is that we can load the EDV up with super-cytotoxics, which can't be used in normal systemic delivery. So for the patient, this means that we can address their drug-resistant disease, and we can also give them a good quality of life because there's no side effects. And because the EDV boosts the immune system, patients report feeling much better when they're on our treatment.
Now, Jennifer, is EnGeneIC's delivery system built solely for cancer-fighting drugs?
EnGeneIC is focused on cancer, and of course being able to deliver those heavily cytotoxic drugs is a big focus. However, we've found that the EDV can be loaded up with functional nucleic acids like siRNA or microRNA, which can change genes or turn off genes that are aberrant. And we can also load up plasmids, which express different proteins. So you can imagine that this could be useful for other indications, for example, respiratory infections. And the other good thing is that we don't have to do any fancy chemistry to change the payload. It's just a one-stop shop.
So do you think that this nanocell would actually have any application for COVID-19 or other pandemics?
I'm glad you asked that question because, viruses and cancer knock down the immune system in the same way because they're trying to get a toehold in the body. And with COVID-19 patients, the first thing that you see is that a lymphopenia. If the patient is not going to do well, they get lymphopenia, which means their white blood cells plummet. Now, in our cancer patients, when we dose them with EDVs, we see an increase in white blood cells. We have never seen that. So working on those same principles, we've designed an EDV which can carry little molecules that stimulate really important little immune chemicals called interferons, and they're terribly important to fight off viral diseases. And we can package at the same time a protein that is the spike protein of the COVID-19. And when we give this EDV to animals, we see the development of these interferons and we see antibodies to the COVID spike protein. So we have a therapeutic and a vaccine all rolled into one, particularly important for people who are older or have comorbidities like diabetes, all the people who might succumb to the disease. The good news is that, and a very good thing for us, is that the EDVs can be shipped all around the world and we're not reliant on the cold chain like a lot of the vaccines. They can be stored at room temperature and they can be stored for more than 2 years. So that's a big benefit.
Wow, that's incredible. And from a manufacturing standpoint, how does an approach this innovative stack up cost-wise?
Well, the EDV is very versatile, it's easy to load, it's quick to make, and frankly, we can make a big batch and divide it up and load different payloads, and it's very cost-effective compared particularly to the new immunotherapies, which are, really expensive.
Right. Jennifer, you mentioned earlier that your nanocell technology is proprietary. Are these innovations patent protected as well?
Yes, indeed. My partner, Dr. Himanshu Brahmbhatt, and I have developed all the intellectual property for this company. So EnGeneIC has 435 patents to date, granted worldwide and solely owned by us. And we have another bunch of patents that are in the pipelines and waiting for examination, including one on COVID.
So is there a potential for your technology to treat a wide variety of cancers?
Yes, absolutely. The EDV is a platform technology, so we can basically target any cancer. And targeting is the key. We can change that targeting antibody on the surface of the EDV so that it can recognise any appropriate receptor on a tumour cell. Right now, we are targeting a thing called EGFR, epidermal growth factor receptor, which occurs on 70% of solid tumours. So we can go from the brain to the bone with that receptor, that targeting.
Right. How do these EDVs interact with the body's own immune response?
So that's probably 60% of the job. We're getting the patient's own immune system to do the hard lifting in this. So when the EDV is injected, those EDVs that do not go to the tumour get taken up by the scavenging cells of the immune system. And when they do that, they become activated, and we're tricking the body into thinking it has a bacterial infection when in fact it has a tumour. And those activated immune cells, they gather up the tumour and kill it off as if it was a bacterial infection.
Oh, excellent. Well, Jennifer, my goodness, congratulations on your extraordinary work, and thank you for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me.
And thank you for watching. I'm Kathy Ireland.